Hey there, English hero. Welcome back to another episode of the Heroic English Podcast. I'm Max, your host, and in today's episode, we are going to explore the power of grit. What is grit? Grit is the determination to reach your goals even when there are difficulties. Grit is the strength needed to keep going despite a busy schedule, overcome learning challenges, face the fear of speaking, bounce back from failure, and be creative when resources are scarce. How does your grit show up in your English learning journey today? I can share about a time when I was struggling with my English learning to the point I almost gave up. When I first started learning English, I enrolled in university to study translation. I'd just been learning English for a few months by then, and so my grasp of the language was very basic. I could barely put a few words together. And so it was a big shock for me when I found myself in a class with around 50 other students who all spoke English extremely well. To make things worse, I kept comparing myself with them, and that shattered my confidence. Whenever the teacher would call on me to speak in front of everybody, I would freeze and feel deeply embarrassed about my low English level. For me, it was a really unpleasant situation, which, it ended up working out for me because it created the pain that would later fuel part of my motivation. But at the time, all I could see was a really negative experience. And at that low point, I faced two options: to quit or to persevere. What did I do? Well, I quit, but just temporarily. I needed that break because I needed it to stabilize and to just return to a more neutral state of mind. I did end up going back, and this time I was more prepared, I had more knowledge, I was more focused. And this led to overcoming fears, increasing my confidence, gaining momentum in my learning, and overall accelerating my progress towards fluency in the language. The crucial element in all of this? Grit. And so, together with my guest today, we will guide you on a journey of discovering your most gritty self so that you can find the strength that you need to progress towards your most fluent, confident, and capable self in English. In this episode, I'm being joined by a very gritty English heroine, Kate Tronts. She's been part of our Heroic English community from the very beginning, and you are going to learn a lot from her. Also, this episode comes with a free PDF guide full of tips and questions for reflection and practical strategies to help you become more gritty in your English learning journey. If you really want to internalize and master everything that we are going to learn and explore today, I recommend that you download that PDF guide. And for that, I've put the link down in the description of this podcast. So with that said, sit back, relax, and get ready to transform into a gritty English hero. Let's do this. Kate, thanks so much for being here with me today, and of course the audience on the other side.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for having me. Hopefully, we're going to have a great conversation today. And hi to all English heroes.
To everyone tuning in, Kate is an exceptional English learner and member of the Heroic English community. Kate, let me just describe you with three adjectives that I think, paint a picture of who you are as an English learner. You tell me if I'm right or not. I'm going to say 1, driven, disciplined, and gritty. Do you feel these words provide like an accurate description of yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I feel they really resonate with me. Talking about learning English, I'm really driven by this language. I'm passionate, absolutely passionate about the English language. I'm gritty because I feel that I'm on my right path right now, and I really love what I'm doing.
Yeah, and
So
then if you don't know what gritty is, English hero, don't worry, because we're gonna discuss that at length today. And you're mentioning, Kate, loving what you're doing, which is a key ingredient in being gritty. You cannot be gritty if you don't like what you're doing. And I also want to comment that you, Kate, have been in the heroic English community pretty much since day one. So I'm very thankful for that and also pumped to have you here today and can't wait to get into our chat today. So to that effect, got three questions for you. Number one, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? To feel free to share anything that you like about your English learning journey. And number three, just for fun, because it's kind of random, what was your favorite school subject?
okay, I'm Kate. I'm a passionate English learner. I'm a civil servant with more than 12 years of experience, but now I'm on my maternity leave. I'm taking care after two little kids, but I decided not to waste my time being on maternity leave because I feel I can combine taking after my kids and doing something also meaningful. In my case, it's learning English. I have some background, basic school knowledge, but it's not enough. I feel that I need to master English right now. This is the perfect time for me because I had several attempts to learn English in some private schools, but every time I ended up quitting because I think that my mindset wasn't strong enough to continue. But after some time, I feel that mindset shift and now started doing it with kind of renewed energy and positive beliefs that I can do it. I have to mention that I was an excellent student in school. I loved practically all the subjects, but of course there were some of them which I loved more. And the favorite one was English. Also, I liked geography.
Well, geography was my favorite one for a long time. But
Mhm.
when it comes to English, as opposed to you, that was one of my least favorite. Ironically, right? Given, what I'm doing today, that intrinsic motivation wasn't there for me when it came to English. It started to develop a little bit later during my teenage years, but still, like, I hated English as a school subject. And I also wanted to comment on, this mindset shift that you were mentioning. My interpretation of your journey, but like what I think enabled this mindset shift was, of course, as you mentioned, your motivation for it, but there was also a very practical element of having more time, taking some time off from work. This time availability provided you with, the necessary space that you needed to start putting more attention to English and effort and energy, which started to kind of like become a snowball effect, like you started to gain momentum. And that's what, I guess put you in a place where I could, see you there, connect with you, and you started then to take part in the heroic English community. And from then it's all history. But I've noticed amazing work from you in heroic English, and I also commented on this before to you. I've noticed a very tangible improvement in your English skills. Your speaking skills have developed quite a bit, and to the point where it's noticeable. It's one of those things that speaking skills, they improve at a rate that sometimes it's hard to notice it. But I've noticed that in you, and that goes to show that it's been really, really fast. That you've improved really rapidly. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks a lot. I'm really pleased to hear that from you. Because, I found myself in a very right place. I'm talking about my environment. Because when I learned English earlier, I didn't have any idea about this method of learning when you are into a supportive environment, when you surrounded with like-minded people which encourage you, motivate you, which actually moved with you towards your mutual goals. And this is one of the tools which helped me to reach the level that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And this supportive environment actually helped me to develop my speaking skills. Before starting my journey here in Heroic English Community, I didn't have any speaking practice. I knew a lot, I understood a lot, but I couldn't speak. And it was my breakthrough here.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you want to be grittier, find a great culture and join it. That's what we're trying to do at Heroic English, and I'm glad that we cross paths. All right, awesome, Kate. So today we'll talk about grit. We'll explore what that means and how, when you develop it, when you develop grit, you're better prepared to persist, learn from errors, and practice consistently. So, Kate, why don't we continue setting the stage for our gritty conversation today? And I'll ask you the following question. Can you think of any examples from your own life or from someone else that you know who demonstrated remarkable resilience and passion in their pursuit of a goal? And we're going to come back to these two words, resilience and passion, because I've purposefully placed them in this question because they connect with this idea of being greedy. So, Kate, any examples that you could share of people being resilient and passionate?
It's a great question. I could probably answer this question describing my story, but I could also share an interesting story of a friend of mine. He is my classmate. He's been always passionate about computers and all the things related to them. But back then, not everyone could afford it because we didn't have computers back then. But he was the first one who get a computer, and he was so resilient, persistent about this. He would spend all day long trying to figure out all these technical things. He mostly he did it on her own. He kind of mastered this computer thing at a basic level, and then he dug deeper and deeper, and he started to learn programming and networking. And being kids, we considered him a bit weird because he was kind of isolated in his virtual world, and he hardly ever hang out with us. He was fully immersed in his favorite activity. After a while, he entered the Polytechnical University, and it was really difficult for him, but he did it. Later on, I had some conversation with him, and he used to tell me that it was really tough. It was difficult for him, but he never gave up. Now he is a successful owner of IT company in the capital city of my country, and he made it. He was able to become a successful person only because of his faith. He was so hardworking, resilient, and greedy. And this is how people become successful in any field, no matter what they do.
That's a great story, and I could totally notice the resilient aspect of it, and which is pretty clear when you want something and you want to like advance in a certain field, and for that you need certain resources, certain things. And if you don't have the resources or money to get it, it's gonna take a lot of hard work and sacrifice to be able to, save money and buy a computer. But if you are greedy, you are gonna find a way to do that. And yeah, that's a tale of how someone was able to do it and succeed and continue advancing in their life. Awesome. All right. Love hearing about that. Thank you so much for sharing, Kate. And moving on. So we've already set the stage for what we're gonna get deep into today, which is the whole idea of grit and how that is important for ourselves and relevant when it comes to learning English or really just going through life. So let's explore the world of highly accomplished individuals and uncover how their exceptional qualities can be attributed to one fundamental virtue, that is grit. Kate, I'm gonna read a passage of a book that's very popular in the self-development world. And the book is actually titled Grit, and it's written by Angela Duckworth. I'm gonna read that. Why were the highly accomplished so determined in their pursuits? Most of them never expected to achieve their ambitious goals. In their own eyes, they were never good enough. They were the opposite of complacent. And yet, in a very real sense, they were satisfied with being unsatisfied. Each was chasing something of unparalleled interest and importance. And it was the chase as much as the capture that was gratifying. Even if some of the things they had to do were boring or frustrating or even painful, they wouldn't dream of giving up. Their passion was enduring. No matter the domain, the highly successful had a kind of ferocious determination that played out in two ways. First, these exemplars were unusually resilient and hardworking. Second, they knew in a very, very deep way what it was they wanted. They not only had determination, they had direction. It was this combination of passion and perseverance that made high achievers special. In a word, they had grit. That's Angela Duckworth in the book Grit. What is grit? Well, in essence, it's the combination of intense passion plus intense perseverance towards a long term goal that matters to you. There are a couple of vocabulary items there that I like to just clarify for the English hero out there. The first word is complacement. Complacement or being complacent, which means satisfied or content with one's current situation or achievements, often without any desire for further improvement or progress. Like a worker at work, right? He became complacent after getting a promotion. He did not work hard anymore. He thought that he had made it and he started to be complacent. He didn't have the same desire to work hard, to work for something, to trying to build something at work, in this case, a promotion. He stopped working hard and he became complacent. So it's not a great quality most of the times to be complacent. And how would you say, Kate, that you're not complacent when it comes to developing your English fluency? What are the things that define you as the opposite of complacent in this case, which would be determined, focused, driven?
You know, talking about English, I think it could be reading in my case. I used to underestimate the great power of reading, but
Mm-hmm.
now I kind of took another look at reading. It's an input and it should be present in our learning
Mm-hmm.
process.
It's very important for sure. Actually, a lot of times, part of being greedy is being, I'm not saying that that's your case when it comes to reading, but it just came to my mind that a greedy person is willing to do the boring things in order to advance because, developing something or chasing something sometimes includes doing things that are a bit boring. But when you
I
are connected with that higher purpose of wanting to get that, you are going to do those boring things as well, no matter what. And that's one of the things that a lot of times I notice in English learning, people only want to do the things that are fun, which is all right, natural and understandable. But there are going to be things that, okay, just do something that's a bit more boring, but it's going to help you. When I see someone engaging in something like that, I instantly recognize that person as someone who's greedy.
Yes, I absolutely agree on that. And talking about reading, I decided to fully change my approach towards reading because I do understand I need to be engaged in these activities. So I have chosen to read intensively. I read really slowly. I read out loud. I read trying to figure out and understand every single word. Yes, it's boring. Sometimes it doesn't bring me joy, but I feel like it's very useful for me. I feel like I'm improving, and it was even more boring at the very beginning. And now, after I've read half of a book, I feel like I'm more into this, and it's not that boring as it was at the very beginning. The power of starting is really important. Once you start, you are more likely to continue, and it's kind of compound effect. You suddenly find yourself in this absolutely enjoying process, which used to be boring at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Totally, totally. I just sometimes it's just all about making that first step forward, and after that, it's you've already gained the momentum that you needed. It's just getting moving, and then inertia is gonna do the rest. Absolutely. There was another part in the reading passage I just read, which I wanted to highlight, chasing something of unparalleled interest and importance. So unparalleled, an adjective that really intensifies the meaning. Super important, unparalleled. Chasing something of unparalleled interest and importance. And it was the chase as much as the capture that was gratifying. So it's this idea that it's not the destination, it's the journey, and it's all about enjoying the journey, enjoying the process of trying to improve in your English. When you can actually do that, enjoy the process and not just think about the end goal, you're going to be much more effective in making progress. There's also this idea that it's focus on the process rather than on the end result or the goals that you're after. It's important to have a vision for what you want to become, who you want to become, but most important is what you're doing today that's going to get you just one step closer to that goal, to that vision of yourself. What do you think?
Yes, I totally agree. And relating this question to English learning journey, to my English learning journey, I do understand that it's not the point to ask yourself every single day when actually I become fluent. The main point here that you have this vision in your mind that you want to become fluent, you do everything you need for this, but it's not the point to be focused on this ultimate goal all the time. Just focus on the things that you are doing for this, what you can do today to become fluent. I totally agree. It's better to be focused on the process, not on the ultimate goal. And you, in this case, you're more likely to achieve your goal much faster. Sometimes I feel like I do not make progress. I feel that I'm on that level when we call it the intermediate plateau, but it's impossible if I do things every day and I'm not progressing. It's impossible, right? The success is inevitable at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and I love that you said the word inevitable, because it's this idea that do something that if you believe that if you keep at it and if you do that thing consistently, taking action in a consistent way, success is going to be inevitable. And if you feel at some point that you are stuck, you're getting stuck and you're not advancing as much as you could, all right, try something different. And just start like testing the hypothesis that trying that new thing, it's going to make success inevitable. And also, I wanted to relate this back to what I'm doing right now, which is building this amazing heroic English community. And of course, I would like to impact 1 million English learners around the world. And that's what my vision is for heroic English and for this podcast. Right now, it's only a minimal fraction of 1 million people, but I'm not slowing down in any way because I'm still far off. We are still far off from that million learners. No, because we are actually enjoying the day to day. And that is the point. It's the chase as much as the capture that's gratifying, right? I'm having fun and I'm enjoying every moment of the process of building heroic English and, connecting with you and other English heroes and making videos and creating lessons and writing stuff and posting stuff on social media. So yeah, that's the point. Enjoying the present. Future and success will come, but it's more about the present.
Yes, absolutely agree with you on that. And this is the quality of greedy people who accept that their goal is not a sprint, it's marathon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Kate, let's shift gears a little bit and we're going to talk about talent, effort, skill, and achievement now. I'm curious, Kate, do you have a talent?
Oh, it's an interesting question. And I do remember I actually shared this talent with all the English heroes when I was talking about it was kind of another heroic English challenge, and we were discussing this. I do have this talent, but it's a little bit a kind of useless talent. It's like rolling my tongue like this, and I want to say that I really find it useless because the only area, the only sphere where I can apply this, it's when playing with my kids and trying to distract them or just engage them in some kind of funny activities. But yes, I can define it as a a little bit like useless talent. And what about you? Maybe you would share with us your talents.
Yeah, so I mean, it's useless until you can actually, play with your kids and say, okay, look at what I can do. Can you do that? So in that moment, it becomes useful because you're just having fun with your kids. And it's funny because my kid, he's 4 years old. He was actually doing that same thing with his tongue. It's interesting. So my talent, one of my talents, I think, well, I don't know, like I think I have more than one, but I can't really think of any other than the fact that I'm really good at remembering faces. And I've always been able to, like in movies, for example, when watching movies, to recognize an actor, even if it's relatively unknown actor and playing a secondary role within the movie or TV show, I can always recognize that person and really make the connection with, okay, I also saw him in this other movie, even if he played like an insignificant role in that other movie. And I've been able to really spot like actors, that, their role in that movie or TV show was a role that they needed to dress up really differently or like have a mustache or like a different look, but I was still able to spot the person and say, oh, I remember that guy from, he was in Breaking Bad. Oh, and he was also in Friends. And there's this gap of like 15 years between
Mm.
Friends and Breaking Bad, and I was able to spot a character, again, really minimal role, unimportant role within the shows, but I was able to say, oh, that's the old guy who was playing this old guy in Friends, Mr. Heckles, I think. And oh, he was a drug dealer in Breaking Bad. And wow, I recognized him, even though like 10 years passed and the guy aged significantly, but I was still able to recognize him. So
Mm.
that's I'm actually kind of proud of that talent
Yeah,
that I have for that.
it's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
it shows that you have a great memory.
yeah. Do you consider yourself particularly talented at learning English?
Oh, well, answering this question, I need to start with what actually I think about being talented and my attitude towards this. I have to admit that I used to believe that talent it's something that we are born with. I completely changed my mind about being talented because, as I told you, I used to believe that I was absolutely untalented in drawing. But if you want something, if you truly believe you can do it, you can activate your talent. And it was something that happened to me. So now, talking about being talented at learning languages, particularly at learning English, I do believe I'm talented because now I know that I can create my talent with my own hands. And this is something what depends on me. And now when it comes to learning English, I do believe I can master it as well. So I can say that I'm talented and I know how to nurture your talent, how to um, make it work for you by putting in efforts, time, and energy, and over time you'll see how your talent works.
Yep, yep, yep. And I do believe you are talented for sure. And this is the thing, like if you want to accomplish anything that is valuable in your life, you need to be greedy. And a key aspect of being greedy is putting the E word, and the E word stands for effort because it's so fundamental. And talent is one thing, effort is a different thing. Of course, talent helps, but effort is what compounds that talent. Is what takes talent and multiplies by a factor of a lot, like a big number. Effort is, in my opinion, effort is energy plus attention. So, Kate, I'm gonna read a passage here again from the book Grit, an excellent book that can teach us a lot about how to be greedy. And by the way, I recommend that as a reading material if you're into reading as well. So there are two simple equations that explain how you get from talent to achievement. That's a cool concept, right? Talent is unrealized achievement. Unless you actually tap into that talent, it's just gonna always be talent, or you're not gonna be a highly successful person unless you do something more with that talent. So there are two equations that explain how you get from talent to achievement. Talent multiplied by effort equals skill. Now you take that skill and you multiply it by effort and you get achievement. So effort counts twice. Talent multiplied by effort equals skill. Skill multiplied by, again, effort equals achievement. Angela explains that talent is how quickly your skills improve when you invest effort. Achievement is what happens when you take your acquired skills and use them. Of course, your opportunities, for example, having a great teacher, matter tremendously too, and maybe more than anything about the individual. My theory doesn't address the outside forces, nor does it include luck, another important component. It's about the psychology of achievement, but because psychology isn't all that matters, this is incomplete. But still, I think it's useful. That's what she says. What this theory says is that when you consider individuals in identical circumstances, what each achieves depends on just two things: talent and effort. Talent, how fast we can improve a skill, absolutely matters. But effort factors into the calculations twice, not once. Effort builds skill. At the very same time, effort makes skill productive. So again, talent plus effort. Remember, effort is counted twice. And this is exciting because we have control over how much effort we put in. So to recap the equation, talent times effort equals skills. Skill times effort equals achievement. And I want to ask you, Kate, how do you put energy and attention behind your learning? How are you using your energy and attention for learning English or for improving your English speaking skills?
Okay, I'd like to highlight an importance of energy in planning our learning activities, because we all tend to prioritize time management, but still we need to take into account energy management, because there are times during the day when we feel this that we are more energized. For some people it's like morning time when we wake up, for other people it can be late, and for me it's morning, of course. And I even try to get up much earlier in order to accomplish my learning stuff, because I know that in this case I'll be more productive. Also, I'm into making videos for the community and for my YouTube channel.
Excellent. And yeah, I've seen firsthand how you are actually, putting this energy into some activities that you do for developing your skills. And that is one of them is the videos on our community. So every week we have a challenge and we have to discuss a certain point and upload a video with our point of views and sharing our thoughts on something in particular. One of the Heroic English challenges a few months ago was, are you talented? Like, what is a particular useless talent that you have? And I mentioned, remembering faces myself, but great efforts, great attitude for learning, Kate, and great stuff in general. I will also want to mention something that I'm trying to get better at, master, continue learning, and that is conducting these interviews. Kate, this is actually just the second time that I record a podcast with an interviewee. It was you here, and last week or a couple of weeks ago it was Victoria, and I'm in the process of learning how to do this. I know I'm at a basic level, and I still need to get to that at least intermediate level of being an interviewer, or like being navigating the conversation in a way that it's in a good format for a podcast. So, shifting between topics and, replying and reacting to your comments and things like that. So I'm in the process of learning how to do that. And it's something that I'm putting energy and a lot of attention. I'm being focused about this. I'm being serious and I'm committed. And I'm also making sacrifices like what you said earlier, waking up an hour earlier. That's a sacrifice that you are willing to make in order for a higher purpose. In this case, improving your English. In my case, increasing the impact of this podcast and Heroic English in general. Today, I woke up an hour earlier so that I could prepare better for this conversation. So I just wanted to start to close things up here with a quote that's related to what we just discussed here about effort and talent and skill and achievement. Without effort, your talent is nothing more than just your unmet potential or your unrealized potential. Without effort, your skill is nothing more than what you could have done but didn't. With effort, talent becomes skill, and at the very same time, effort makes skill productive, which that becomes, of course, achievement. And I'm about to actually share another quote, but beware because it's really impactful. And this is probably in my top three, maybe just at the top of the most impactful quotes that I've ever come across. It's by an anonymous source, so we don't have anyone behind this quote that we can name, any famous person from the past. And the quote is, someone once told me the definition of hell. The last day you have on earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become. That is really impactful in my opinion because it takes you forward to the last day you have in this world and you meet the person who is yourself, but let's say in a parallel universe where he or she actually realized his full potential. And that person looks different, acts different, is different, and it's just a better version than your version of someone who did not really use their talents, use their skills productively, and is living this world with a bunch of ideas that he or she could have bring to fruition and, achievements and success and things like that. Someone once told me the definition of hell, the last day you have on earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become.
And if you allow me, I'd like to reflect on this quote. And I think the difference between you and that person is that that person did everything you didn't want to.
Or I chose not to because either procrastinating, not being courageous enough. Yeah, I think the difference is taking action. It's all about doing something that is going to get you just a tiny step closer to something better. It's about making that 1% improvement every day. So the person you can be, you must be. Otherwise, you are wasting your time. So, Kate, just to wrap up things here in this amazing conversation we've had today, what's an empowering message, thought, or question you'd like to share with us before we wrap up today?
Oh, well, it was such a nice conversation. And, to wrap up things, I would probably say you can do everything you want in your life. You can achieve everything you think about, only if you intrinsically want to. But by putting in enough effort, time, and energy. So if you want to achieve something, if you believe into this, you will definitely achieve it. But by putting in effort, time, and energy, being resilient, sometimes falling, but raising and keep going, keep improving, keep learning from your mistakes, and finally, you'll achieve your goal. So attitude really matters.
Love that, Kate. And one last thing you mentioned having a YouTube channel where you upload your videos to. Way to go, by the way. That's how you take energy to a next level. You start to really, create your own voice in the English learning community and you start to be an active participant, not just watching other people's videos, but also creating your own. And that's very commendable. So, Kate, what is your YouTube channel? Can you share it? Would you like to share it with the audience today?
Yeah, my YouTube channel called My English Fluency Path. I got fired up with the idea of creating my YouTube channel in order to stick to English on a regular basis. Another learning space where I learn English, share my learning experience with other learners, and get closer to my English fluency step by step.
My English Fluency Path. I'm subscribed to your channel, Kate, and it's awesome. So English Hero, go there, subscribe, leave a comment, support Kate. She's amazing. Go there and you're gonna get inspired. You're gonna get tips and you're gonna learn vocabulary and it's gonna be fun. Thank you so much. It's been a blast. I loved our conversation. I think English Heroes are gonna love it as well, and they're going to find a lot of tips and inspiration and empowerment and challenge and everything and all those good things.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it was my great pleasure be here, and thank you for having me. All right, English Hero, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Kate, where we explored the essence of grit in the context of mastering English. It's your persistent effort and determination in the face of challenges that forge your path to fluency. So embrace your gritty self to push through the obstacles that seem to stand in your way. If this conversation inspired you in any way, please subscribe and like if you are watching this on YouTube. And if you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Deezer, or any of the other hundreds of podcast platforms that are out there, we would love it if you could leave us a 5-star rating. Your support means a lot to us and it helps us reach more English heroes like yourself. All right, English Hero, keep learning, keep growing, keep living your English, and until next time.